Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Just Talking About Sports. I'm Matthew.
And I'm Ethan.
And Ethan, what are we going to be doing today?
Talking about sports.
Yes, sir.
Wow, look at this switch up.
We got to throw in that little curveball every now and then. All right, today we are going to bring up another week of the AP Poll Top 25. Bit of a disappointing finish to the week, and Ethan will bring it up first with Gonzaga and Baylor still 1-2. Their scheduled game, not to be.
Yep, this week it was this Saturday, so everyone was hyping up. It was supposed to be the game, Gonzaga versus Baylor. Everyone was hyping up. Baylor just came off a win against Illinois in the same week, and then Gonzaga was going to be able to see if they could stop the streak. Baylor had all the momentum in their favor, and then the magic of COVID hit and ended up canceling the game. So Gonzaga had, I believe, at least a player and a coach are test positive. So those two have been quarantining. And because of that testing positive, Gonzaga has now canceled their games for the entire week. So Gonzaga will not be playing this entire week. So they will most likely be remaining at the number one seed. And similar with Baylor, as both teams will probably just be sitting there until they resume play. And that's pretty much how it's going to go. It's just super quick for them. And I'll let you take Iowa now.
All right. We're going to go with Iowa, and we are seeing the birth of a superstar. If you don't see it, then turn on the television and watch an Iowa Hawkeyes basketball game. Luka Garza has been sensational. The way he can just take over in a game, whether it's on the glass, whether it's in the paint, he is so electric and so dynamic in this Iowa offense and defense. If we take Luka Garza out of that lineup, Iowa is nowhere close to a top 25 team. And we'll talk more about later a team that's very similar to that. And Iowa, to me, is a team that concerns me a bit. And I said it last week. You can't just rely on one player. But when your player's name is Luka Garza, you actually have a chance of just going. They have the opportunity to do it. Their big test will be when Gonzaga returns to play December 19th. That game will be sensational.
Yeah, mark your calendars for that day. I mean,
yes, sir.
He's just been unbelievable for this Iowa team, averaging almost, I believe, up to 25 to 30 points a game, along with, I think, 5 to 6 rebounds per game. The dude is just a beast. No team has been able to really contain him so far, and we'll see basically on that game if the Gonzaga will be able to do it. But now moving
There's no ceiling for Garza's potential right now.
Yes, it's just going to keep continuing. It's going to be a fun season. So keep your eye on Garza for the rest of the season, as we keep saying, week and week and week again. So now moving on to a quick little Michigan State reference. Congrats, they're 5-0. I mean, they came off a big win against Duke. Nothing else to really say about this team. They're on the rise as surprisingly not the best Big East or Big Ten team right now, as Iowa still is above them, as they're ranked above them. And I think they should be number 4 still until they really win a better game. I mean, Duke was a great game for them. They were the 8th seed. It was an upset for them last week. So it's great to see Michigan State there, and we'll just continue moving down with some quick Kansas action too. I mean, Kansas is still at number 5 despite almost choking to North Dakota State University. They were very close this week, I believe this Saturday, with which kind of surprised everybody because that game should have been a blowout for them. But to see that Kansas was able to pull it off in the end kind of saved them from dropping at the very least 10 spots. So it's great to see them still there. It's kind of scary for them to still be. I think they should have been at least a little bit lower after almost blowing it, but Kansas remains at number 5, and I'll let you take it off with some Houston.
Yeah, last touch on Kansas, I want to remind you all North Dakota State almost beat Duke last year in the first round, but Kansas needs to step it up against these smaller competitions. Anyway, let's head to Houston. Number 7, this team, again, they don't play that in that big conference like a Big Ten, like an SEC. They're in the American. It's very similar to a team like in college football, like a Cincinnati right now. You don't really know what kind of competition they're playing, so how high can they go? They've had 4 dominant victories. I mean, they haven't been close in any game. Well, maybe one. But the point is, Houston has just been – they're going to be the interesting team of this season. We don't really know how far they're going to be able to go, but this is a team with a lot of potential, not any real big-name players. It's the team around them that has surrounded really just a big lump of success in Houston. We'll see how far they can go. I do not have high expectations for this team, but I did want to bring them up because I do believe the Cougars, they got a little bit of fire. We'll see what they can do, but I'm waiting to see if they can beat one of those big teams.
Yeah, this season is going to help them big time because there weren't as many games being able to play outside of their conference. And since there isn't as much competition in their conference, they very well could be going on a huge streak like we saw Baylor do last season, where they went on like a 20-game winning streak. We could very well see Houston just keep it going. But we'll see what Houston has in store, and I think another team to keep an eye on, as they are in the top 10 and they're getting the respect that they deserve right now. And we'll see if they can continue doing it. So, and now moving on to a little bit of a mesh between two teams, the Illini and Duke, as both teams ended up losing last week. Illinois to Baylor and Duke to Michigan State, as we said earlier. So both those teams fall not too far. Illinois only fell one spot, and Duke fell four, as they used to be the higher seed, but they're still in the top 10. But basically, one of those teams is going to be probably dropping below, or if not towards the bottom of that top 10 list, as the two are actually playing today on Tuesday. So it's going to be very interesting to see who's going to be able to come out of this alive. I mean, it's Illini versus DJ Stewart's and Duke, as DJ Stewart's from Whitney Young, which is from our area in the Chicago area. So it's going to be great for him to be going up against his home match or home team, I guess, or area, if you want to call it that matchup. So we'll see. That's pretty much going to be the game of the week. I don't believe there's any other bigger games this week. So be ready for that game, and that's going to be a fun one to watch.
I'm very surprised by Duke. Every year, they lose like their entire starting five. You saw Vernon Carey, Trey Jones, Cassius Stanley all walk out the door to the draft, and now they bring in this whole new crop. It just blows my mind every year what they can do. I mean, really, you got to give credit to Coach K, and you got to give credit to the scouts. I mean, what they're able to do and bring in that talent is just so remarkable. But when you get to play in Cameron Indoor, it's a legendary feeling, and you wonder what, like, that's just like a warming feeling. And so I think Duke can use that, and you think, when is Duke going to go away? They're never going to. They will never, ever, ever go away. I'll be here when I'm 40. They will not have one bad year because of what they're able to do. I'll have a damn beard, and they'll still be, oh, hey, did you see how Duke's been doing in the 2040 March Madness tournament? Because they'll still be there for the 50th straight year, because they're just going to keep going and going and going.
Yeah, I mean, that's how the Duke, I guess that's how they work, and that's how Coach K works, and that's how his resume has been for years upon end. They always make March Madness, and their streak has been continuing for years and years, and I think it's going to be going on for years and years to come. So now we're going to be moving out of the top 10 of the AP poll, so we're going to be kind of going all over the place, but I know Matt really wants to talk about one of his favorite teams so far in this top 25, and I'll let you start off with we'll drop a little bit farther down from the top 10. We'll drop all the way down to 19 with the Richmond Icky Bicky Spiders.
Oh, man, I love having these little teams that I can just say, oh, my God, we have another team nobody's ever heard of that's going to be good this year. Yay! This is it. Richmond gives me Davidson vibes. They're both in the A-10. They both have a big-time reliable point guard. Richmond can go out there and make plays. Big game today. They were the only ranked team in action against Wofford. Not the prettiest of games. They win no matter what.
Darn Wofford. My darn Wofford. I had him. I was cheering for him.
I love my Terriers. Don't get me wrong. Don't get it twisted. But when they're not going to have that level of success this year, me and you both know that. And so Richmond is like, all right, that's the team that we want to see go far. And before I let you switch, I'm going to give one quick final shout-out to San Diego State. Malachi Flynn, and unfortunately never got to experience this. We've talked about it every week. They never got a chance to really show what they could have been in March Madness. I want to personally congratulate San Diego State for making it back into the top 25 after losing one of the best point guards we've seen in a couple of years in college basketball. Very happy to see them in it. Let's just see how far they can get in this year's top 25.
Yeah, the Aztecs deserve it after being robbed from last year, as I said in previous videos. It's great to see them back up and ranked in the top 25. So let's see if they're gonna be able to continue it in their I guess somewhat easier division that they had. So they were able to move their way up to almost a 1 seed, I believe. They are going to be ranked a 2 seed in last year's March Madness. So great to see San Diego State back up in the top 25, and cannot wait to see what they have in store for this season. But I will now hop back up to, I guess, one of the bigger upsets of the week. Not the biggest, because we'll get to that, but one of the bigger ones that happened this Saturday is people were, this was used to be number 4 Wisconsin, have now dropped 9 spots, and they've dropped 9 spots because of the game that happened on Saturday to unranked Marquette, battle for Wisconsin, and Marquette came up victorious in a unbelievable finish, probably one of the best ones we've seen so far this season, where the Marquette player had a free throw. All he had to do, the game was tied 65-65. There was pretty much point something on the seconds. It was in the tenths. And all he had to do was make a free throw. And he missed. But lucky for Marquette, one of their guys was able to tip it in last minute as the time was ticking. It bounced like 3 times, like a Kawhi Leonard finish in Toronto. And then basically, if the crowds were there, they would have been going berserk because it was in Marquette. But unfortunately for Wisconsin, they now lost, and now they dropped 9 spots after people really thought this Wisconsin team was different, which I probably could have told you they weren't, and that Marquette could have had a better time to do it, because us Big East, we got something different.
Yeah, I will say this real quick. The Big Ten this year is looking really good. Every team's above 500. Granted, they played nobody, but the Big Ten. You look at all these teams. You've got double-digit teams with votes this week in the poll, whether they made it or not. And of course, you look at one of those teams that's probably played better than most of the Big Ten teams and barely getting any votes is Rutgers. I mean, they're sitting there about in top 25, and we're not going to give them any credit, but Big Ten's going to be good. But you know who else is? The Big East.
Yep. And I'll keep going with that good energy, as I'll move on to another team that I want to talk about that has been kind of a surprise for me, because I didn't think they're not usually the best. At least in our time in recent years, they haven't really been the best basketball school. University of Texas at number 14, they've been coming out surprisingly, and they've been coming out absolutely slamming it, as they've been one of the more entertaining teams to watch, as they've got like some slam city going down south in Texas. But they've been able to pull off some pretty interesting wins. They were already able to knocked off North Carolina last week. That was their big win. Although with that win came also a loss, their first loss of the season, to Villanova. So they had a great win and a bad loss. So they ended up still moving up 4 spots to 14. But they're a very entertaining team to watch, and they're actually kind of getting under my radar as a team to keep an eye on, as I'm always loving to watch their highlight plays after every single game that they do.
They had like that first big poster of the year. I forget the guy's name, and Greg Brown. Yeah, that guy just completely obliterated. Just bam. My final shout out, as Ethan may already have had his, my final shout out is not in good energy, it's in bad energy. And it's a shout out to Kentucky. Woo! Oh, I hate Kentucky so much, and I'm so glad that they're struggling. When you lose to Georgia Tech by 17, that's probably not good. North Carolina, they're giving me North Carolina vibes from last year, just a complete train wreck. They don't look anywhere near like the team they had. They talked about it earlier this year. This was a record low year in recruiting for Kentucky. They struggled to get some big names. Yeah, they struggled to get some of the big fish out of these markets, and this is a huge struggle. Kentucky does not have the roster they once had. Kentucky is going to struggle.
Yeah, they dropped, and especially they losing by, like you said, Georgia Tech, to a team that has not won this year. It's not like they were coming out off a fresh thing. No, they were 0-2 prior to this game, and none of the games they lost to had been close. And they went in and they just obliterated Kentucky, embarrassed them. And do you think they're deserving of anywhere in the AP poll? Obviously, these people are smart, and nobody for once they used the logic and they're like, you know what, this Kentucky team should be nowhere near the AP top 25, and not even in the extra list. So it's I mean it's at least we don't have to deal with the Kentucky this Kentucky that thing every single year. We're gonna have one extra space in the top 25 for our random lucky teams as our teams that always are fun to watch. So I cannot wait to not have to deal with them. So I'm very, very happy we are Kentucky-less. And also, before we end this, we also have to celebrate another week of Michigan-less top 25. Let's go.
Which will change next week. But
hey, they may be number 26, but they are still not ranked.
25.
They are not 25s.
They gave San Diego State the credit over them, and I appreciate that from them because they were behind them heading in.
They are on a hot streak, and they are not doing what they did last year. I think they learned. They probably started listening to us or hearing us from last year. All our complaints from week after week after week of us saying no more Michigan. And guess what?
Double-digit losses. Now you're 21. Last year, Michigan had double-digit losses, and they were in the top 25, and Rutgers had only had 4 at the time, and they still weren't in it.
Yes.
Crazy fact before we end this, and I found it earlier. For the first time in 8 years, Kentucky does not have a vote in the AP poll.
Wow.
That's historic. Historically, that's how good Kentucky's been. Always been there. This is the first time in 8 years they did not even receive a vote in the AP poll. And with that,
I'll let you take you said the intro. Take out the conclusion. Might as well.
All right, you got it, man. This will conclude this week. It was great, kind of getting a little bit more of the hosting duties. And I want to thank Ethan as always. And I'm Matthew Posner. Everybody have a great week, and we'll see you again next week for another ranking of the AP Top 25.
Take care, everybody.